Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. All of the animals are in their house right here. And so they're gonna come out a few at a time, and when they come out, I want you to tell me what their names are. The task that we'll be doing is called the missing scan task, and it's just a way to measure working memory capacity in really young children because it's really hard to talk to them about numbers or anything like that. What about this one?
A zebra.
My name's Alyssa. I'm a neuroscience and cognitive science major here at the U of A, and I'm going into my senior year, so I'll be graduating this next May. This one?
Penguin.
All right. And then they all come back out except for one a few seconds later, and then you say which one is missing. And then you add an animal to each set. So if they correctly do 3, then you add 4, 5, 6, and it goes all the way up to 10. And then the longest that they can do, so if they correctly name 5, the missing animal for a set of 5 but can't do 6, then we would say that their working memory capacity is the 5 animals. And so we can measure it in that way.
A dolphin and a fish and a stingray and a crocodile.
Right.
Well, I have terrific grad students. I also have really terrific undergrads.
Yeah, he's much more interested in the camera than the stimulus.
So I'm Rebecca Gomez. I'm a professor of psychology. I'm a developmental cognitive neuroscientist. And what that means is that I study how children's cognition changes as their brain develops. We're really interested in how children learn, and we study learning in the context of language acquisition, how they learn language. We study learning we study how learning connects to memory, so how children actually remember what they learn, and we also study how sleep helps learning and memory.
Flashing like this is when he's looking at the attention getter, right?
And the part of the brain that's really important for memory is the hippocampus, and that develops late in young children. And so a challenge we face is designing tasks that we can use with very young children and use the same task with older children. And so it's got to be a task that's just as much fun for young kids as it is for older kids. And a challenge, we've mastered that challenge, but another challenge we have is that while we can do brain imaging of 4-year-olds, we can't do that with 2-year-olds, right? So we have to design tasks that will reflect what we think the hippocampus does. The ability to keep apart, to remember 2 highly similar things is something that the hippocampus is good at. And so we predict that older kids will remember that the 2 ducks are different and which of those 2 very similar looking ducks belong to each puppet. That the older kids will be able to retain that separation over time. The younger kids will not be able to do that because the hippocampus is not developed in younger kids.
Here comes Mr. Al. Rennie, do you think you can help Mr. Al one more time? Yeah? Okay.
Many parents are reluctant. They picture coming into the lab that we're wearing white lab coats and we're going to poke and prod their kids. But in fact, we go to great lengths to make the tasks fun so that the kids can we can learn something about the children and the parents can learn something about their children as well. And it serves a really important function because if parents didn't come in and help us with this research, we wouldn't know how kids develop.
Mommy.
Yeah,
Done.
you did it. Nice.
Yeah.
So I get to tell my children we're coming to the U of A. So they're on a college campus, they're familiar with a college campus. I think that's really cool for one.
Okay. All right, are you ready to play another game with me?
Another reason is I get to tell them that what they're doing is helping other children potentially. So knowing that they're helping someone, they have a good time. And I tell them we're going to the U of A, they're like, yay! So you guys keep us coming back because you're friendly, you're nice, and you entertain them.
So I've been studying learning mechanisms from very early in my career, and I've identified some learning mechanisms. And my colleagues in speech and hearing sciences are actually implementing one of those learning mechanisms in their interventions for children with language impairment. So the more we know about typical development, the more we can diagnose or identify when children are at risk or if they have an impairment, and then we can also design interventions that'll be appropriate for those children.
Is this a hand or a foot? What do you think?
And an arm.
Yeah, you think so? If you think about how children are learning and how they're being taught in schools and that kind of thing, if they're all learning in a particular way, then it could be really beneficial to know that, because then you could target exactly how they're being taught, and it could be much more effective and they could learn faster. And it could also be really beneficial for kids that are atypically learning for whatever reason, and really beneficial to help them learn better and more efficiently. Maybe we should look for things that have blue on them. What do you think?
I feel like I heard somewhere
This has blue.
This has blue on it too.
I know they've gone away from doing it.
Here's another part.